Hello again, everybody. This is Mr. Everything, and I am coming back at you with another one of our Wednesday morning Wargaming Wednesdays. Every Wednesday at about 11 a.m. or so, approximately, we have an hour or two that we sit and we talk about general wargaming topics, things that have gone on with my wargaming table, things that are going to be going on with my wargaming table, general news in the wargaming world, a lot of cool things. So, what was it? This last weekend was Salute. That is a fairly large convention for wargamers. Happened in England. Also, there was a Historicon a couple of weeks ago, I do believe. I've been to one Historicon, but I have something to say about that. And it might be because of the state it's being held in. Super left. I didn't expect... This is just something I never expected. I never expected a wargamer to kowtow to the left. It just didn't occur to me that the wargamers up in the Northeast are weak. If you're a wargamer and you are in the Northeast and this doesn't apply to you, if you're watching my stream, it probably doesn't, because you probably have pretty close to the same philosophies that I do. But and it was really it only took one or two videos, because there's people that upload videos from like some of the games they played in, or the loot that they acquired, stuff like that. And it only took a couple of videos to realize I'm glad that I'm in Tennessee. I don't know if I want to go into details, but they're all sitting around a wargaming table wearing masks. First of all, I think that's unnecessary, because they're in a huge, large convention hall, and they're going to be around a lot of people all the time. And I don't think... Okay, I shouldn't say it. They'll probably ban me. But if you're planning... Okay. I understand that if you're afraid of this invisible enemy, I understand that if you're afraid of that, and you can be or should be, depending on your health conditions and stuff like that, I get that. But if you're afraid of this invisible enemy, why are you going to a wargaming convention with 10,000 plus people? If you're not afraid, like me, then go, right? Enjoy yourself. But there are people that wear your face covering as a symbol of compliance. And it might not be their fault. It might be the convention. Historicon might have said, if you want to attend, you have to wear this. Then I wouldn't have gone. Because if they're so afraid that something's going to happen, then I don't want to be that person that it happens to. If they're not afraid, and they don't, here comes the word, mandate it, then Some people will have it on, some people won't, and it'll be fine. But when everyone and their brother has one on, I didn't go this year. I didn't go. I haven't felt the need to drive 10 hours to go to a convention for 2 days. Haven't felt that need in a while. I'll drive 4 hours to a convention in the immediate state area, like this state and all the surrounding states, sure. But I'm not driving up to Gettysburg to go to a convention. I did it once. It was fun as hell. It was great. It was pre-Invisible Enemy. But if they said, to be able to come, you have to wear a black t-shirt, I wouldn't go. I'm opposed to that kind of tyranny. If you said, we're having this black shirt event, and we want everyone to wear a black shirt, that's different. Then I would be like, okay, I'll go. I'll either wear a black shirt or I won't. I probably will because I want to feel like I'm included. But if you tell me I have to do something, then I'm probably not going to do it. Okay, enough of that convention. So I'm disappointed with Historicon. I look over the pond and I see Salute, and I don't. And I heard that the UK is suffering as bad, if not worse, as the US, and nobody there had any kind of face diaper. You know, because they get it. Okay, so we'll leave that subject off the table. I got a couple of things I want to discuss, or just not really discuss, but just tell you about, just inform you. First of all, if you are watching the stream and you have comments that you'd like to make, you can put them into the chat, and I will gladly get to them in time as I become aware of them. Because my chat is actually on my aft port quarter. For those of you Navy people. All right, so if you're wondering what I'm drinking, it is Lipton tea, apple cinnamon. It's delightful. Okay, all right, you see a few things on the table. We're going to get to it. We're going to talk to these here, and this is this main subject. I'm going to work on some things actually today, which means I need to go over there and grab my flock. But before we get to that, because of what you see here, you see a board sitting on top of some miniatures. There are limbers actually underneath there, just like these limbers. There are limbers under there. I have these boards on top of there, and these diorama effects are both fairly heavy. I'm not going to say they weigh about twice as much as this does. They're pretty thick and heavy. So I put them on there as a weight to press down on my miniatures. Okay, so let's talk about why I'm doing that. I came across a let's just start from the beginning. Everyone knows that I am getting ready to really go deep. I'm going deep into this epic Waterloo project. If you know anything about me and my projects, I go deep, okay? It's a different type of deep there, you know, trying to keep it not so sexual. But I dive deep into it. And I probably go a little too deep, but that's a topic for another subject. Or a subject for another topic, or a topic for another discussion, whatever. Um, the FYI, any minute now, my son's going to come in through that door. He's going to have my sub sandwich, and he's going to probably make some noise. So just be aware of that. Hopefully, I got my microphone on. Good. Everybody can hear me. Great. Okay. So, because I'm going deep into Epic, and because I saw that I could get a better deal, I guess is what you could say, a more economical deal, getting limbers from 15 millimeter limbers from Old Glory. You get 3 limbers for like $20, and that's pretty awesome in my opinion. My understanding is the Epic Civil War limbers were like $20 each. So, or maybe even more, like $40 each. That's incredibly expensive when you need to do a limber per battery. Some people could think that you should do 1 limber per gun, and you probably should, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do 1 limber per battery, and I'll explain that here in a minute, how I'm going to do it. That's why I went ahead and glued these guns to some bases. All right, so I glued some figures. Well, I painted them, glued them, and stuff like that to these limber bases, which I went to Litco, right, and I bought some 30 by 100 bases, 30 by 100, and that's the size that these guys are on. I kind of estimated the length based on like how many horses are in a limber pack and the limber itself, and I kind of guesstimated how long it needed to be. Plus, I used my 28 millimeter limbers as a guide to do the math. Basically, I just halved it because in Epic, the artillery base length and width are exactly half of my black powder 28s. So I figured if that's the case, maybe I should just do exactly half of the limbers I've got up there. And it came out perfect, right? It's the perfect length. 100 millimeters by 30 millimeters, not 20 millimeters. I could have used a 20 millimeter, but you can see that it would have been next to impossible to get it to fit. Okay. The reason why Warlord went with a 30 millimeter wide base for their artillery is because of the wheel width. It's just common sense, right? Okay. So I wanted my limbers to be the exact same width as the artillery. So I wanted it to be able to be pulled behind the gun. Now, if I wanted, and I thought about this as well, if I wanted to hook the gun onto the limber and have it as one piece, one diorama set. You're back. You just leave mine on the counter and I'll get it. Okay. You know, whatever. I would have to have made my 100 millimeter bases larger, and I experimented with some that are like 120 millimeters, because just putting a gun on the back, I could have probably fit it onto 120, but I decided to go with guns separate, limbers as a token, just like I'm going to be doing skirmishers, and I made them exactly the same width as the guns. Okay, so back to what I'm getting at. So these 100mm bases, I decided, okay, because I'm getting 15mm limbers, and I know that the Epic Waterloo models are not 15mm, they're 13.5, so they're about 1.5mm shorter. I decided to, instead of using the 3mm bases, right, for troops, which would really elevate them pretty high, I decided to go with 0.8mm thickness. Now this is plywood. It's very durable. Let's pull one out. Okay, so this is plywood. This is very durable, but the issue that I am coming across is the same issue that I had when I was mounting my 28s on 0.8, because, and I did World War II models, and I've done other models on 0.8, and anything that you're going to rank and file, you don't want it to be 0.8. You don't want it to be super thin. And one of the reasons why is when you push the two bases together, they might easily overlap, or they drag on the table. You'll actually have to pick them up and put them down and be a little bit more careful about how you place them side by side, because it's thin as paper, right? Maybe not paper, but it's thin as cardstock. But I was willing to risk it to get rid of 2mm of height, because this is 3mm. This is less than 1. So I'm getting rid of more than 2mm of height that would compensate for the Epic miniatures being shorter. Okay, so you guys follow me there. Shorter, thinner bases. It will. Okay, we got these. We got this guy that's extremely tall, and you got this guy that's a little smaller, standing on even ground. Well, if I lower the base, the head height will come down, and it'll be very close to being exactly the same. So that's why I got the 0.8s, because I do believe, I don't know this for a fact, but I do believe the Waterloo bases are going to be fairly thick, maybe 2mm, maybe not 3mm, maybe 2, but they're all their other bases that I have from them, except their bolt action models, but all their maneuver bases are thick. So I don't know, when I get them, I'm gonna have to experiment, and I'll do that on camera with you guys. Okay, so I ran into a problem. I mounted these limbers and the ones that are under there on these 0.8 bases, and I don't know if you can see this looking at this base. It is not perfectly straight. Oh, I'm gonna sneeze. Whew, bless me. Okay, so they're not perfectly straight. That's okay. Once I apply a coat of these diorama effects, and if I apply a little pressure, which I'm doing here, that should press the base down, and once it dries, it should be good. Now I could always wet these down first, straighten them out, and let them dry. That's probably a more preferred technique, you know, wet them down, flatten them out, let them dry, and then they'll be perfectly straight. But the problem after that is once I glue the models on, I've noticed, and once I start applying the liquid texturing effect, either through Elmer's glue or the texturing effect, it'll make the wood here want to bow up, right? So it'll start to go. Okay, so to counter that effect, something you can do to counter the effect is wet the bottom first, get the bottom wet, and then it'll want to bow that way. And then when you apply your texturing on the top, it'll straighten itself out. Well, like an idiot, I didn't do that. I didn't prep my base so that it wouldn't warp. Like I knew it would, because it's so thin and because of the length of it. I knew it was going to work, but I wasn't thinking clearly. So once I got everything textured, I went ahead and put this board on top of it with some weights to take that bow and push it back down and let the texturing dry like that. And I did that last night, so hopefully everything's dry and it's not going to go bink. Okay, we'll see. We'll see here in just a minute. Okay, they have a second thickness. They have pretty much have three thicknesses. They've got the 0.8 and they have the 3 millimeters. The 3 millimeters and for some reason the 0.8 are the least expensive. They but for like $1 or $2 more for a pack, that's not a huge amount, but for just a couple dollars more, you can get the mid-range one, which is in this case it's 1.6 millimeters, which is probably, if the Waterloo bases that come in the box set are 3 millimeters, then 1.6 will be perfect, right? That'll get their head levels exactly the same. But if the base is in the water, I don't think they will be. I think they're thicker than this. I'm going to have to do, once I get it in, I'm going to have to do some measurement on it. But if they are this thickness, the 1.6, then I'm definitely going to have to go with the 0.8s. But I got some artillery bases at 1.6 because I figured they're going to be ranked up because you have multiple guns per battery, and they're going to need to be ranked up. Plus, the artillery are not standing in a big formation with other infantry. They don't need to worry about their height. They're not going to be face to face with other infantry, really. If they're 15 millimeters and everything else is 13, it's not going to be that big of a difference, in my opinion. So I went with the 1.6. And now, looking back on it, and this is where after all of this, this is my point. If you're getting a base at 100 millimeters, you probably should not get it at 0.8. It's just too, first of all, it's too thin. I don't like 0.8, I'll be honest with you. But it, at this length, it warps easy. How many? And I bought a pack of 50 of these. I probably could have got away with a pack of 25, right? But I figured I was going to need some more limbers for my Brunswickers. I was going to need limbers for my Dutch Belgians. I was going to need limbers for my Prussians. So all I have out here are going to be French and British, because those are the ones that I ordered. And mainly they're part of an experiment. Now I ordered infantry bases. Again, mainly to do skirmishers, because the infantry I'm going to do are going to be basically the epic Waterloo and all their expansions as they come out. But I got these at 0.8. Now, because it is shorter, it's only 60 millimeters, I don't think there's going to be any problem with that. Should I have gone with 1.5 or 1.6? Probably. I'm starting to regret my decision to go with 0.8. So if you are interested in getting some Litco bases for your epic, just consider my words. Go with the mid one. Go with 1.5, 1.6. Because I've got some 3mm 20x60s. I did this last year to experiment putting some infantry on there, and it is really a super tight fit to put other nations on there. Now I've considered like Brunswick as an example. I've considered putting like 8 men across instead of 10, 8 and 8, making a base of 16. So that's something I might do. Okay, that's the bases out of the way. And same thing with these 30x40 bases, these artillery pieces. I basically went through and just kind of like casually placed some gunners on the base. It's going to be a super tight fit for these guys. Now I can trim extra pieces off of these bases because, you know, like a millimeter here or 2 millimeters there, basically just to make it fit on the wood a little bit better. And that's probably what I'm going to do. Okay. Okay, I'm saving this for last. But I probably shouldn't. I probably should work this, and then as it dries, we talk about that. Because I want your opinion. If you're watching this, I'm going to ask for your opinion. And if you're watching this later on YouTube or what have you, on the differences, because these are all British limbers. These were all textured with the earth texture from Vallejo, right? This is the color I wanted. I did not want this color. This is just too dark for me. I wanted the mid-brown, brown earth as they call it. Tierra Marron, which is earth brown. Okay. So, yeah, this is the color I wanted. And so I went ahead and ordered that when it came in stock. I got them in. I actually ordered 2 so I wouldn't go out, so I wouldn't have to restock very soon. Okay, but these guys were all covered with the mid-brown, but then I used 6 different flocks on these to give them their different look. 3 of them I'm very pleased with, and 3 of them I am not pleased with at all. So I've vetoed those 3. I've discarded them, and then so that left me with 3 that I'm kind of hit or miss on the flock color. And so I did 3 because I thought I'm going to give this mud a chance. So I did 3 limbers with the muddy ground, And then I did 3 limbers. These are the French that are under here. 3 with the muddy and 3 with the earth. And then that way I can do 1 each of the 3 flocks that I like. And then I can kind of compare all of them and see which combination is actually the best combination for my other epic miniatures going forward. Okay. Good deal. Okay, so we can take this and this off of this. Now I'm going to put these artillery pieces, which, just so you know, this is 2 bags of Old Glory artillery. When you order or when you buy their artillery, this just happens to be the British Horse Artillery, you get 6 guns and 1 howitzer in 1 bag with 4 crew per gun. I thought that was pretty cool. So now I've got way more guns than I'm going to need. I don't even really need to paint these. And that's mainly because I'm going to get a bunch of guns coming in with on each sprue of infantry, right, or cavalry. But I got these just in case I needed extra guns. I don't know. It's really just kind of an experiment. So, okay, set those off to the side. And the crew can just stay right there out of the way. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay, so these are the 6 British limbers. Now, I mentioned that when you get a limber pack from Old Glory, you get 3 limbers, the horses and the drivers. So that was pretty good for 20 bucks. I think that's pretty good. And then the French are the same way. And you can see that I've got 3 medium browns and then 3 muddy. But this muddy dries exactly the same as dark earth, so I don't even think there's a difference. Right? Just so you know. So if you find one or the other of the dark earth, if you find the muddy ground or the dark earth going cheaper, just get the cheaper one because I think they're both exactly the same. They do make a wet ground, and the wet ground is looks like it's this color. So I didn't get it because I thought that it would be the same situation as that one. It would just look exactly the same once it dries. And it might be this scale. At this scale, it might be what the issue is, but I don't think so. Okay, so I got these French guys done. I've got these British guys done. I need to go ahead and texture these with flock. And so I'm going to go put these away. I'm going to go grab my flock, and I'll be right back. One moment. Get those guys out of my way. All right. Okay, so I've got 3 flocks here, and we'll go over them in a minute. Actually, we're going to go over them right now. I've been using Battlefield Grass Green on my 28mm models, and this is a sawdust style flock. It is the preferred flock for me, right? I really enjoy this flock. My issue is, and this is where the experiment and your opinion comes in, the sawdust style flock tends to look a little out of place when you get down to 15mm or smaller. If I used this on my micro armor bases, it would look like my micro armor was driving over big planks of wood, right? Because these flakes are one, sometimes, I mean, I saw one in there, it looked like it might have been 2mm. It's shredded pretty good, but it's still very, very bulky when it comes to 15mm or smaller. 28mm or larger, this is perfect. This looks really good on the bases. So I considered going with this is Bush Micro Scatter, because I found out, or maybe I'm mistaken, but like scatter terrain, when you buy a bag of scatter flock, scatter means sawdust, right? It means that it is stuff, well, you're supposed to like scatter it in different areas, but it's made of sawdust to get that scatter effect. But because it's micro scatter, this is like super small. The color is a little bit different, okay? It's a little bit lighter, but I'm okay with that. I really like the light color. You can buy a bag of this for like $2 to $3, and this is only like, this is probably half a bag right here. So this is about $1's worth. Okay, and then and that is from the manufacturer Bush. Okay, Bush does a lot of good model train, railroading, terrain, stuff like that. There we go. This one is by another train company called Knock. Knock makes this thing called, what do we call it? Spring Meadow. Okay. Spring Meadow is a little bit, it's different, but this is a static grass. It's fibrous, but because it's not super chunky or meaty, this is very, it's very fine. It's very small. Now once I'm going to put each of these on each of these, and then again on each of these. Once it dries, we're going to kind of compare them as well as with the ones that I've already done, just to kind of see the results or how it comes out. All right, so let's go ahead and get this show on the road. I need to put my eyeballs on. I'm going to apply glue using my glue applicator brush. I put some, that's probably all I'll need. I put some Elmer's in my palette. I add some water, pretty close to 50-50. I stir so I don't see water anymore. And before we get started, I want to thank everybody for coming out and watching the video, but I also want to let you know that, or I should say, I wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving tomorrow. If you so, if you, what do you call it? What's the word I'm looking for? If you celebrate it. Now, on these, limber bases, I was pretty much doing just the outsides to kind of give a illusion of them working down like maybe a road. But it also helps conceal the horse's bases, because they're pretty thick. I could have put some putty on there or something like that, but I decided against it. So we're going with the outsides. But then I'm also going to put a little bit down the center. As if it was a wagon cart. Okay. And we're just going to work with this one first. And it is going to be a spin it in my fingers, let it just fall with gravity onto the base. Now I understand this is static grass, and there are applicators that will, using the nature of the static, will allow it to stand upright on your terrain board or whatever. I'm not doing that. And luckily the base fits in there. Perfect. Okay. That one's done. Now we're going to do one of the dark ones using the same technique, the same outside edges and a little bit of the inside. I'm not going for 100% coverage. I know a lot of flockers out there like to base their bases 100% with grass or whatever. Nothing wrong with that. I used to do that, but I found that that kind of takes away. Okay, not takes away. It doesn't do your models justice, because sometimes less is more. And if you got some really harsh transitions on these bases of your models, you coat them and it will the grass itself will disguise the footprints or the extra thick bases. Now, I like it to fall, you know, in the thinnest amount. I don't like it to clump up. If there is clumps, I kind of like roll it in my fingers to hopefully just little strands will fall, and then they will hit the glue and they will remain stationary, sometimes standing upright, sometimes not, sometimes laying down. One reason why I don't like static grass usually is because of the mess. It usually doesn't fall straight. It usually blows in the wind. If your air conditioner is on or whatever, then it would kind of just go all over. I only put the lid on there just so that I could get it out of the way. Okay, that was the Knock Spring Meadow. Knock Spring Meadow. Okay, and this is the Bush Micro Scatter. Okay, same thing. That way we have something consistent to evaluate. Oh, wait, there's a spot right there that I missed with the brown texturing. So I just hit it with some Elmer's so that when I drop the Spring Meadow on there, it'll cover that hole. All right. It doesn't look too bad. Yeah, if you're going to cover it completely with grass, right? If that's what you're going to do, then why even texture the base? If you're going to invest in texturing, show it off. Okay. Oh, that horse. Alrighty. I think we're okay. Here we go. Now, the reason why I like sawdust so much is it falls flat. I mean, it goes straight down. It doesn't interact with the wind in your house or whatever. It's heavier. It's not so fiddly, in my opinion. Okay, one of each, light and dark. If this proves me wrong, where dark actually does wind up looking good on the table, I might use more of it. Maybe there's certain units, maybe certain regiments or whatever, maybe a whole division with the dark earth so that it will look like they're all from the same division. I've considered that. Color coding my brigades with different ground textures. Well, for one thing, they're not all standing in the same spot on the battlefield. So different textures might actually be appropriate, but it also might not be. I mean, it might not look good is what I mean. I'm sure it will be appropriate, but it just might not look good. And if it doesn't look good, then why bother? Another thing with static grass, I found, which this is not, this is micro scatter, but with the static grass, you want it to sit on your glue base until the glue dries. What I mean by that is you don't want to put it on there and then immediately shake it off. You want to let it sit with the flock on the glue, so as the glue dries, it adheres. Because if I was to turn these over and shake them off right now, half of the flock would leave the base, and it would, because it didn't have time to soak into the Elmers. Now I brought this one because this is not full size like that. Oh, and that's almost gone, so I obviously didn't make enough to cover all the bases. Felt like it was a little bit too thick. Okay, that's better. You'll also notice that at this scale, I'm not putting gravel down. I'm using the paint on textures. The gravel that I had used before would be just way out of scale with the models. It would be way too big and bulky. It would be like they're walking over a gravel pit, you know. And then in my mixture of grit, I usually have like larger talus, or they would be rocks at this scale, right? Well, those are just way too big. So this paint on grit is doubling as rocks and grit. So now I've considered putting some really small talus in there, maybe some micro talus in there to give it a little bit of 3D, but it already has that. There's no need to do that. Now this battlefield grass green is also a scatter, so it's like a sawdust. Let him sit and dry in his own juices, and then this will be the last one, and then as they're all drying, I will talk about the other subject. Wow, this one I must have really coated or caked on the texture, because it's really 3D. This is the same stuff that I use on my 28mm models. I really like it. I just think it might be just a little bit too big for the models. Maybe not. Looking at it now, it looks kind of thin, so I don't know. I don't know. That's why I'm doing this, so that I could kind of compare them side by side to make a decision on which way I want to go with the flockage. Okay, so they're all done. They're all fini. I just need to shake off the flock. So let's jump on to this page real quick. All right, check that out. Okay, so I've already marked. This is a new page for my Epic Waterloo. This is the page that will show off all the. This is actually Quatre Bras. So this will show all the troops I need for Quatre Bras, but I will have the French here for Quatre Bras, and I will have the Allied for, I think this is the Quatre Bras as well. So this basically just tells me how many men are in each battalion, and then this kind of shows me the various battalions. I need to go through and kind of tweak the way I am showing them. In this case, I've been showing one box as a tiny or small unit. 2 boxes is a medium or standard unit, and then like 3 blocks would be a large unit. I don't know if that's kind of the way I want to symbolize it like that. I'm not sure. But since we finished these 6 limbers, there we go. So we've got the British limbers and we got the French limbers complete. You can see I've got some Dutch-Belgian limbers and I've got some Brunswick limbers that I still need to do over here. But that completes all the limbers I will need for Quatre Bras for the French. Be 6 limbers. What I did was I took 1 limber per battery. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, right? Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6, because I forgot about the 12-pound foot up there. And then same thing with the British. Each of these would get a limber. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right? And then the rest is 2 Belgians, 2 Brunswick. Yeah, one of those Belgians, I think, there might supposed to be a gun with Merlin. I'm going to have to figure that one out. And I thought there were some half batteries or something, but I'll have to take a look just to make sure we're doing that right. But either way, if I am doing 2 cannons per battery, then I'm going to be using 1 limber to 1 limber for 2 cannons. Okay, so I just for S&Gs, I'm showing this on, oh, maybe I'm not. Okay. There you go. I have a couple of howitzers here. So when they're on the table, they're going to be deployed like that. That's going to give you a firing point, right? It's going to be specifically the space between the 2 bases in the front, right? So you're going to have a measuring spot. But I'm going to have a limber sitting behind it. If I used 3 guns, as per what I see on most of their artwork. If I use 3 guns, the limber would also work really well because it fits right behind the guns. But in this case, then I'll be using the middle point of one of the guns, because you don't measure from the edges of the bases or anything like that when it comes to black powder. So I'd be measuring from the center point, and that's a little bit less precise. Also, it makes it more complicated when I do half batteries. So if I do a half battery, how am I going to simulate it? Am I going to simulate it as 1 gun, or am I going to simulate it as 2 guns? But when you have only 2 guns, you benefit from a precise spot to shoot from, and whenever I'm going to do a half battery, half of 2 is 1. Doi. Okay. So, and when I go to limber these guns up, what I'm planning on doing is that. So I plan to have 1 limber with the 2 guns behind, and this being the battery. And then when you go to unlimber, you know, obviously you're going to have your guns, and then you just take your limber and put it behind there as a token. That's the plan. Okay, let's get all this out of the way again. I think I ordered that pack thinking I was getting more howitzers. I was hoping to get like a collection of howitzers, but I got 1 howitzer per bag. Okay, just a little bit off topic because I know we're talking a lot about Epic, but my offensive miniatures, right? Wait, we got a John Wayne. Oh, okay. Yep. Love comparing. Good deal. Well, we're going to definitely do that to make sure that I get the desired look. I'm going to get your opinions, but I'm going to reserve the right to veto all your opinions. You guys can go into the video later, watch it on YouTube or whatever, and put your comments in there. Or you can put your comments here live. Either way. But offensive miniatures. Okay, so you saw that I've already painted all of the U.S. Airborne. And I have already posted those on eBay. I still have the British paras to do. I'm kind of holding off on doing those because I think her name is Jackie. I could be wrong, but I think it's Jackie at Offensive Miniatures has sent me a few emails and inquired to like what the missing parts are and stuff like that. So I think she's sending out a replacement arm and things like that. We'll see. I haven't received those yet. So if she is, then I think then it's going to be awesome, right? But I do have some extra Germans that are also offensive. I think I'm gonna paint those up pretty soon. Maybe not. Maybe I'm putting a little bit more effort into my Epic, but the issue with the Epic is it doesn't come out until January, right? So all of this is really just posturing until Epic actually gets released. Okay, so let's posture a little bit more. GMB. Okay. You pause that video and see my address. All right. So if you want to send me anything. Okay, so GMB. I know we're not super zoomed in and everything, but I really like I really like GMB flags a lot. I understand a couple of different things. Here we go. The flags that are in the Waterloo box are a little bit small. They're on the smallish size. If the models are 13.5, they're probably 12s. Scaled for a 12. Which tells me that the standard poles are probably also going to be small. But I've actually seen some flags on poles on the Epic Waterloo figures, and it looks like, just from a casual glance and extrapolating, it looks like those flag poles are going to be long enough. But I don't think they will be. I mean, it looks like they're going to be, but I don't think they're going to be long enough to house a 15 millimeter flag. Because a 15 millimeter flag is probably, okay. So if you take a 13.5 millimeter flag and a 15 millimeter flag, we're not talking about the height of a man. We're only talking about the difference between the flag size. So if a flag is, let's say, 2/3 the height of a man, 10 millimeters, for which would be about 10 millimeters for a 15 millimeter flag. The 13 millimeter would be 7 millimeters, right? Yeah, no, not 7. It'd be like 8. 2/3. 8 would be 12, so we'll say 8.5. So now we're looking at a difference between 10 and 8 millimeters. That's a pretty sizable, or maybe even 8.5. So we're only looking at like a 1.5 millimeter difference. A 1.5 millimeter difference looks like it'll be doable based on the pictures of the flags on the miniatures, the Epic miniatures. That's why I'm saying it. I think it'll be doable. If it's not doable, which is another thing, I'm just going to snip the flags, snip, snip, and then I will take my pin vise, drill a hole in their hand, and then I will put a metal rod down inside there. And I will make the flag poles big enough. And we'll make our own flag poles if they're not big enough, because I'm going to go with 15 millimeter flags. A couple of reasons. GMB flags just look really good. Really, really good. The Warlord flags are, all they are is the flags you get in the box sets shrunk down. They've taken the pictures of all the flags that they produce for their Napoleonic British or their Napoleonic French, and they shrunk them down to fit on a sheet of paper. How do I know this? Because when you take a look at their French fanions, they don't have any writing on them, the same as their fanions in their 28 millimeter box sets. And then when you look at their Hanoverian flags, they're all exactly the same flags. But you would expect that, because if that's the flags they think they should be, then that's the flags they think they should be. But the shadowing on these small flags, the Hanoverians, have this excessive shadowing, fold lines or wavy lines, where the other flags don't, just like their 28mm flags. So they're obviously the exact same flags. Okay. Now, when you get a GMB flag, what are you paying, like $5? Yeah, it's like £3.5. So I think it's $5. I get the entire division's worth of flags on one page. Right? This is Pyre's division, 1st and 6th Chasseurs, 5th and 6th Lancers. Okay, Pyre, done. Okay, here we go. All right. Foy's division. Foy's division. So, we got the 92nd, 93rd, 1st Brigade. Then we got the 100th and the 4th Light, 2nd Brigade. So there's all the regimental flags. But they also provide 2 2nd Battalion Fanions. But I think I need more than just 2 2nd Battalion Fanions. We'll get into that. Bachelou, same thing. 2nd Light, 6th Line, 72nd, 108th, and then 2 2nd Battalion Fanions. And if you remember right, the French were all set up with 2 regiments per brigade with their battalions. And then there's Jerome, same deal. 1st Light, 3rd Line, 1st and 2nd Line, and then 2nd Battalion Fanions. If I knew I was getting this many 2nd Battalion Fanions, I might not have ordered. Let me get to it. That, which I'm getting 6 2nd Battalion Fanions for line battalions. 6 2nd Battalion Fanions for line battalions. And then 6 3rd Battalion Fanions for line battalions. I got these because, and I think I might have ordered an extra one of these, not realizing I was getting these. All right, if I knew I was getting those, I might not have ordered one of these 2 packs. I'll have to go through and do the math. I thought I did the math properly, but I was only counting the regiment. I wasn't counting those 2nd Battalion Fanions. Okay, now I also have 2nd and 3rd battalions for light battalions. You can see the little French horn. If you really had a good set of glasses or magnifying glass, they do say 3rd Battalion on them, but the regimental number is blurred out. So these can be used for any 3rd Battalion. These can be used for any 2nd Battalion, because it doesn't even give a number. It just gives you the E. But if you look at the Warlords, they don't have any writing on their Fanions. 0. Okay. Right. Now, I can't compare these But these are like 10 millimeters in height, where these are like 12 millimeters, maybe 13 millimeters in height. Oh, I'll get something here. Might even be able to measure it this way better. Or 14. Okay. Yeah. 11 and 14 in the millimeters. In the millimeter scale. Okay. So with these three and all of these, which is more than I'm going to need, whatever excess I have, I'll probably sell on my store. And the cav. This is all of second core, which would be Quattro. But in addition to that, I think I showed you this. Here we go. We've got Kellerman's Cavalry Reserve. 8 flags. Cuirassier, 2nd, 3rd, 8th, and 11th Cuirassier. And then Dragoons, 2nd and 7th. Carabiners, 1st and 2nd. That's quite a bit. That's all of Kellerman. Perfect. And then, as you know, there's part of Lefevre's Guard Cav, and I grabbed these because they got. Now, this one flag, I could probably fiddle around with it, but I see there's Dutch Lancers, and then there's Gendarmes, Empress Dragoons, Grenadiers of Cheval, Chasseurs of Cheval. It's two, this is like Imperial Guard, it's just a collection. So I don't know if I'm going to need all those. I probably will do every one of those units. And then we got the British. Not sure why I ordered this, but I got the Scots Greys, the Inniskillings, and this is Ponsonby's Union Brigade. Now, I noticed that the Scots Greys have 2 flags, the Inniskillings have 2 flags, and the Royal Dragoons have 2 flags. I'm going to have to do some research on that, which is why I do Napoleonics in the first place, why I do the miniatures, is so that it forces me to do research. Why are there 2 flags? There's probably a... Is it like the British where they got a king's color and then they got a regimental color? I don't think so. I don't think one of these is the king's color. It doesn't look like the Union Jack, right? So maybe there's squadrons. Maybe there's a 1st squadron and a 2nd squadron. Or something. I don't know. But that's the Scots Greys. All right. Now, okay, let's do this. Let's do that one. Okay, 1st Division. It's got the Scots. It's got the Scots Guards. It's got the 1st Foot Guards, and it's got the 2nd Foot Guards. Yeah, so 1st and 2nd Guard Brigades. Okay, but knowing that there were 4 battalions of guards, I looked and I found this thing called Supplementary Pack. Interesting, right? Supplementary Pack. It has the 2nd Battalion of the 1st Foot Guards, where this is the 3rd Battalion of the 1st Foot Guards. So it has the 4th Battalion of Guards. Perfect. But it also had the Gordon Highlanders on there and the 81st Foot. I don't even know where the 81st Foot is, but now I've got their flag. But yeah, I needed the Gordon Highlanders because they're Quattro as well. Okay. Speaking of Highlanders, we got the Black Watch right there, the middle one. These flags just look way better than any of the other flags that I've seen. I'm digging them. This is PAC's 9th Brigade of Picton's division, right? It says 5th Division. 44th East Essex and the 1st Royal Scots. I know they have 2 more Highlanders. One of them is right there, Gordon. But this is the Black Watch. What about the 72nd? Whatever it is. The Cameron Highlanders. Where are they at? Well, they're on this flag sheet, which for some reason, this says it's Kemp's Brigade. Or that's PAC's brigade. I thought all the Highlanders were all in the same brigade. But that's okay. At least I got the flag. And I also have the 32nd Cornwall and the 28th North Gloucestershire as part of Kemp. Okay, so it looks like I've got almost all of Picton and the Guard. Now, what about Alton's division? Well, here we go. Halkett's 5th Brigade. I love the fact that you get the entire brigade, or almost the entire brigade, on one flag sheet. And you get the regimental color as well as the Union Jack, the national colors, right? So we got 33rd, 1st Yorkshire, West Riding, with the 30th Cambridgeshire, and 69th South Lincolnshire. All looks really good. Good, good, good. Continuing on with Alton's division, we got Amtita's KGL. So we got the 5th KG, oh, I'm sorry, we got the 8th KGL here on the bottom, the 5th KGL, but then right here, it says the 73rd Foot, but then up here it says it's part of 5th Brigade, 3rd Division, where this is 2nd KGL Brigade, so I don't know what's going on there. They could have put another KGL, or maybe it was transferred into his brigade. But yeah, there's a lot of good flags. This will basically get me started. I know I'm going to need more, but I didn't want to go too far overboard with flags, because I'm really going to just be using them as a comparison. But also, if I can, I'm going to use GMB flags. But I also want to look at these Warlord flags to see if they are good quality or not, or what size they are. So finally, we got the Hanover flags. I got the King's colors, and then 6 regimental. So with both of these together, you'll have all the flags, because you'll need one of the King's colors and one of the regimental flags with each battalion. And then the only one they have listed here is Kallenberg, which I don't know. It's just, to me, yes, I'm going to paint it up as Kallenberg, but it's probably going to be proxy to something else, because I think Kallenberg wasn't at Quatre Bras. It was somewhere else. I was hoping there would be yellow and blue. I think they make another sheet with the yellow and blue and the green. This just has the black, white, and red. So, and I'm going to need all of them. But I didn't want, like I said, I just wanted to get an initial order in. There's probably about 20 here. So this was probably $100 worth of flags. Approximately. Okay, a lot of comparisons I can't do until we actually get the box set in. Same thing with the buildings. I thought about ordering a bunch of buildings, but I really do, okay, Quatre Bras does need a couple of buildings. It needs at least 3, if not 4, for Quatre Bras itself. It needs at least 2 for the far right. Maybe even 4 for the town and the city, and then it also needs the farm. Jemian Court farm? Yeah, right there in Quatre Bras. Now, the map that I made for 28 millimeters, and I might have to redo the map. I know I'm saying this, the battle map, I might have to redo it with a different scale, because I'm going to do either 6-inch movement sticks or 8-inch movement sticks. I'm either going to do a half or a 2/3 scale, and if I do half, then I can double the size of my Quatre Bras map. If I do 2/3, then I can still up it by 50%. And if that's the case, then I'll need to redo it. Yes, we could play we could play on the 28 scale map using Epic and continuing to use the 12-inch rulers, but it would make it look like the guys are shooting way too far or they're moving way too fast. So that's why I would want to use 6-inch or 8-inch. Speaking of which, looks like I'm walking around with a limp. 12:30? Okay, we're right on time. I ordered some dowels from a company called Woodpecker's Crafts. Okay. If you're interested, Woodpecker. Whoa, get on camera. Can we get on camera? Can we get in focus? There we go. Woodpecker Crafts. Wooden dowels. 24-inch by 1/8 inch. First time opening this, so bear with me. Okay, so there's a wooden dowel, 24-inch. All right, let's see how you're going to be. You can use this as a measuring stick for so many different things. But what I plan to do is cut them down to size, either 8-inch, cut it at 8 and call it 12, or I've also thought about using just centimeters. Centimeters, where a 12-inch movement stick would only be that long, which is like 4 3/4. I don't know if I want to do centimeters. Centimeters is an option though. I might go with 6-inch because half is easy math. So if you know you shoot 24 inches, well, you know you shoot 12. Or if you know you shoot 36, well, you know you shoot 18. So half is a lot easier than 2/3. Plus, that makes it easy on my map building because it just doubles everything. Yeah, so half might be the way to go. And half is 6 inches, which is longer, much longer than, it's about an inch and a half longer than centimeters. So it gives you a little bit more range, a little bit more movement to have 6 inches. I think that's where I'm going to go. I think I'm going to do 6. And also 15 millimeter is half of 30 millimeter. So Epic is half the miniature scale of their 28s. So half is probably the way to go. And these are durable enough that you can make movement sticks. And the shorter you make it, the more durable it becomes. I could even do like long range artillery, because a 24-inch stick equates to what, 48 inches on the table. So yeah, that could be an artillery stick. Plus I can make bolt action range rulers as well. All right, so let's go ahead and go into the final stages of this episode, and that is comparing my limbers. But before we do that, I need to clean the flock that is on these off of these. All right. So what I use is usually this big makeup brush, very soft bristles, and I use it as a hammer, really. I knock everything off, and then I go through and kind of just brush any loose flock that might be on a miniature off of it. It doesn't look too bad. Alrighty, and brush. Just a casual brushage. Okay. I save every little bit of flock that I've got. Over the course of 1,000 miniatures, it makes a difference. This is the Bush Micro Scatter. Okay. The Bush Micro Scatter is a little bit lighter. But we'll compare. And finally, this will be the Nock Spring Meadow Static Grass. I'm actually afraid that I might like the static grass most. And if I do, then I will have to eat my words and just go with some static grass. But static grass actually, this micro static grass actually looks really good on these 15 millimeter models, in my opinion. But maybe not good enough. Looking down at that, I'm like, is that coverage? That's really not very good coverage. But the more I look at it, the more I like it. I don't know. It's hypnotizing. And this is static grass over dark, which actually looks really good, actually. That actually looks really good. Ah, oh. I'm growling. Okay. Got all the BS done. Let's pull out the English. Now the English, I use six different flocks. And so and then 3 of them I immediately vetoed. Okay. Right. Okay, so this one here is a dark green scatter. It's, okay, let's move this because I don't want flock landing in my tea. Okay. Yes. This right here is a dark green scatter. It's comparatively, I think it's too dark. It works. It looks okay, but I was not happy with the contrast it looks too, I don't know, Christmassy. I don't know what the word I'm looking for. I just didn't like it. Did not like the dark green. And then this is like, I think it's Woodland Scenics static grass. It's like super big. I don't know if you can even see any of that. Let's see if I can't change my focus. I know this is supposed to be auto-focused. Okay, let me get my seat up here where I can actually... Oh, I see. I'm running into something. I think it's the lighting. There we go. It looks really good. You can see the grass sticking up, like by the wheels and stuff. But you only will really see that if you're looking at it from the side. If you're looking at it from the top down, like you're wargaming or something, it just doesn't do it for me. I don't know. What do you think? I love these British limbers, though. I'm also going to do a Wargaming and miniature update not a Wargaming miniature, a Waterloo project update as well, just showing off these limbers in maybe more focus. So that one looks okay, but that static grass was like super hard to work with. And then finally, this is actually Woodland Scenics blended turf, right? I didn't mark that. Okay, yeah. This is their blended turf, which I used blended turf for years. It's kind of it's a foam based flock. There's nothing wrong with that. That doesn't look too bad. Okay, focus, man, focus. I could do a manual focus and change it, but I want it to do auto. Yeah, so Woodland Scenics is not too bad. The blended turf, I I don't know. It's just I don't like the foam. The foam part of it is really what irritates me. So what that did was it brought me down to the 3 that I used on these models over here, which was the Bush Micro Scatter, the Nock Spring Meadow Static Grass, and the Army Painter Grass Green. Now, Army Painter Grass Green is what I've been using on all of my 28s. But my point is, or the reason why I kind of considered getting away from this was because of the size. Okay, I'm going to have to manually change the focus. Bear with me, guys. So many different screens. Okay. Okay, we got the auto turned off. That looked good. Okay, so you can see the size of the flakes, right? They just seem to be very large. Maybe not so much on this model. Yeah, they're pretty large. So each flake is like the size of a human foot. And that's just kind of too big for 15 millimeter. That's but I'm not sure because I like the color of it and I like the texture of it. So as an alternative, I was thinking Bush Micro Scatter, which it's a little bit smaller or thinner flakes, right? I think that looks pretty good, actually. And the color is not bad at all, really. I like the lighter colors because it brings out the model's paint jobs. Okay, so that's the Micro Scatter. So we'll put a side by side here in just a second. If I can grab these. Maybe get some light on this. I don't know, the light and the way the camera is. That would be darker. That would be lighter. Okay, let's see if I can't. So this is the Micro Scatter, right? And this is the Grass Green. Kind of similar, but the Micro just looks a little bit more like grass, right? Just a little bit less intrusive. Okay. So I'm liking the Micro Scatter so far. That's my number 1. And we're still gonna compare them on the French as well because of the different colored under earth textures. These all have the same earth texture. Okay, and finally, on this British batch is the Meadow, right? Spring Meadow from Nock. This is a static grass, right? But it's just it's a fine static grass. It's not super intrusive. You still get that thin what do you call it, blade of grass look and not a clump. Yeah, so this static grass actually looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with this, actually. And looking at it with the naked eye, you can kind of see all the fuzz and texture of the actual grass. And it doesn't stand up like 6 inches. Okay, but it does stand up a little bit. Okay, and so those were the three that I struggled over. Like, those are the three that I like. And there's nothing wrong with me using all three. And there's also nothing wrong with me putting a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a little bit of this on the same base as well. But I don't know if I want to do that. So let's do... Okay, let's do the Army Painter grass green, and we're going to compare it to the two undercolors. Right, so I don't know, I just like the brown. I don't like this dark black looking dark brown kind of thing. I like the color of dirt. I don't know, it just, but this really makes the grass stand out quite a bit. But on my infantry, I'm not going to be, I don't know. I think I like that. But this is just the grass green. Okay, that's grass green. And this is the micro scatter. See how the micro scatter looks like it, I don't know. They're very similar. But the micro scatter just seems to be a little bit smaller. And on the black, it really has distinct lines, where in the light brown it kind of blends a little bit more, it seems like. The dark, it seems like there's definitely lines. And I don't think I like the lines. I do on these, I do actually on the limbers, but on my infantry and stuff, I don't think I'd want to have those dark lines like that. And then finally, we've got the Spring Meadow. No, this isn't. Is it Spring Meadow? Whatever it is. It's the, yep, Spring Meadow static grass on the dark and the light. I don't know. I'm thinking I really like this, because the dirt still shines through, right? But it's kind of blurry. The dirt still shines through here, but the lines are just, I don't know, on the black, it's just too much of a contrast where you can see where the glue was placed and where it wasn't. Where on this, it's kind of blurry. Okay. So it's definitely the light brown. So I'm going to pull all the light browns up. Okay, so this is all the light browns going from Army Painter, Micro, and Spring. I don't know, I like them all. But I think I'm going to use micro and spring for sure. I think that those two, I'm narrowing it down is what I'm trying to say. I don't know, this grass actually looks pretty good, the spring meadow. I could definitely use this. It's easier to work with, but I think this might actually look, okay, let's look at some from the back. And then we'll look from the sides. Spring meadow, I'm sorry, spring meadow micro scatter. Spring meadow has more of an olive look than the micro. The micro is maybe too light. I think I'm falling in love with this one. Try not to drop them, right? Trying to give you a good focus. Yep, I think I've come to my conclusion. I think this is the absolute best one. Now we'll compare the French and the English. The British one I did last night. The French one I did just a few minutes ago, as you saw. I don't know if that has any bearing on anything. Yep, I think that's the way we're going to go, guys. Going forward, it looks like I'm going to be using the Knock Spring Meadow. But the micro scatter is definitely an option. And the Army Painter, I think I'm going to reserve that for only the large models, like the 28mm models. What am I doing? Where am I going? What's going on? Oh, I don't need to move this. I need to move this. Yeah, something like that. All right, so if you liked one above another, let me know. I'm curious what your thoughts were. I pretty much have made my decision. It's going to be this fine static grass. Here's the one dark. There's the one light. And then there's the one British that was fine static grass. The big static grass did not like. The dark green did not like. And the blended turf I did not like. But the scatters from bush, right? The bush micro scatter I really like the Bush Microscatter and the Army Painter Grass Green. I think I will reserve that for the large scale models. Yeah, that looks really good. I'm gonna have to go with the Static Grass. Even the dark one, even the, I say the dark one, but even the dark base, the Static Grass looks really good. I think that if I put a little bit more Static Grass on the dark base, it would have made a difference. But I wanted those ruts to be in there, and plus it's supposed to be muddy anyway. So maybe the dark is actually going to work well as well. So all right. So if you guys got any opinions about that, go ahead and share that with me on my YouTube. I do read all your comments, and yeah, let's close all those. Okay, put it back to autofocus. All right, so what did we talk about today? We talked about some conventions that I've been watching on YouTube, and how embarrassed I am for the Historicon, their political leanings. Also, we talked about the thickness of some Lidco bases and how sturdy they are, or if they warp. We talked about flock colors. We did a little side-by-side comparison of those. Talked a little bit about the GMB flags, and we probably talked about something else that I just can't remember. But if you are interested in some 28mm Napoleonics, fully painted, ready to go for black powder, check it out on my eBay store. I have a number of different units. Also, I have the Offensive Miniatures U.S. Paratroopers on there now. And yeah. There is a bunch of World War II stuff up there. Okay, yeah. Okay, last thing. We're a little bit over, but that's okay. One last thing I wanted to say was sword point, right? You know that I've got a couple of projects that I'm working on with sword point. I'm doing the Burgundians as for like the medievals, but I also have some Romans for the Romans, for the Romans, Republican Romans. I also have some Macedonians, so I already have those. I've got quite a few of those, and they're already mounted on 40x40s, so that's good. But the medievals, I got a bunch of Perry models, metal models, and their plastic models. I have probably like 300 plus models from Perry. I don't know if you can see. You can't see. Well, maybe you can on this camera. Yeah. All of that right there, all of that is Perry. So we're talking about mounted men-at-arms, foot knights, 1, 2, 3 of those, English, Agincourt knights, mounted men-at-arms. How many mounted men-at-arms do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4. I got 4 mounted men-at-arms. And they come 12 in a deal. And then the foot knights, I don't know, what do you get in the foot knights? Like 100 figures. $38 figures in a foot knight box. Yeah. So 1, 2, 3, 4 foot knight boxes. And then I got the English Army and the Agincourt French Knights. The only boxes I'm really looking forward to getting are the Mercenaries. I've been shopping around for them because they have crossbowmen and handgunners, and I think I'm going to need those for my Burgundians. But failing that, I can get those models through other companies, you know, like Gripping Beast or Front Rank or Perry's Metals if I can't get the plastics. But yeah. But that's a lot of work on the shelf right there. That's gonna be a full year project, I think, to get my medievals done, my Romans done, and but I'm gonna really focus on epic. If I have 3 batches of models to do, and one of them is my epic Waterloo, then I'm gonna do the epic Waterloos. Okay, just as a aside before we close out the video, it only took me 3 days to do all those limbers, right? And I've done 12 limbers with the horses and the crew. It's 4 packages, right? Because you get 3 limbers per package. In a pack, let's just say this was 1 pack, I get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I already knew that. I get 12 drivers, right, with their horse and everything else. If I was to make a unit of cavalry using 12 models, I could easily do a unit of 12 in 1 day. Easy. Assembly, painting, and flocking and basing and everything else, all done in 1 day. With the epic Waterloo figures, when they come in, there's not going to be really much assembling. It's because I think that there's going to be maybe some trimming or some cleaning, but other than that, they're all one piece. So I feel like I'll easily be able to knock out 1 unit of cav per day. I think that's pretty good. Infantry, I don't know yet. But if I can do 12 figures of cav in 1 day, I don't think I'm going to have a problem doing one, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it'd be like 8 sprues. I don't see a problem with doing an infantry unit in 2 days. Maybe. I don't know. We're going to have to experiment once I get those in. All right, guys. Well, thanks for coming out and watching this video, and I will catch you in the next. Remember, enjoy your Thanksgiving. Tell your family I said hi. But also, we'll be playing our Traveler game on Friday night and not Thursday night.